Hey, good evening, folks. Kunal here, Bulls on Wall Street. So, decent week for the markets. We ended up about 1% on the Nasdaq, S&P, and about 0.3% on the Russell 2000. So a little bit of a rest week, which is typical after such an extended run, right? Even though we broke out the highs, we got a big push, and when the market gets this extended, some type of sideways consolidation is best. And so that's what we got last week. We had one down day, couple sideways days, and overall we finished slightly green, which is about as good of a result as you can ask for. I think if we had stretched any higher without a rest, things would have got a little bit shaky, as you could even see the last few days as we were shaking higher. The market itself intraday was choppy, and a lot of big rips in stocks were getting sold off, and then vice versa. You'd think you could short something, and then you'd start to see a bounce. And that type of thing is typical. And so we didn't get necessarily the greatest action in individual stocks. I think I had a pretty off week last week. In my individual trading, my results were down, especially on Friday. So that tells me, right, that we're a little bit extended. We need a chance for the charts to reset and and give some pause to the markets, because right now every setup you see is just extended. Even though the market's at highs, I went through my scans and I found a handful of stocks I really liked, and not even enough stocks to do a blog post, right? And so that kind of tells you that where the market really is, even though the indexes are at highs. So best case scenario I think is we can kind of consolidate around in this 1750, 1725 zone. That'll really give some charts a good chance to make some new bases and some new consolidation patterns that we can explode out from, because right now we just have really extended plays, or you get those kind of 1 or 2 or 3 day light pullbacks in stocks, and then they start ripping again. But you don't see very many powerful setups building, and that only can come from some levels of consolidation. And so ideally the market giving us a rest can provide that. So let's take a look at some of these other indices. Russell 2000, same thing as the S&P, right? Just a sideways week. Even though we grinded a little bit higher for the week, for the most part it was a consolidation week. Nasdaq, still making highs, but the rate of growth had slowed down, up about 0.74%. And once again, it was tricky to playing tech stocks last week. Also, ideally some type of rest here and some backing and filling will really do us some good in the long run. Housing. So housing has made a comeback, this kind of 32 zone, right? We're almost back at breakout. So one of the things that we want to watch as this sector has kind of come out of dormancy in its range that it's been in is, look for any type of consolidation or light pullbacks in this. That would give us a chance to maybe get into this area, as this is one of the sectors that's not extended, but it's also, right, a sector that for the longest time, for the last couple of years, has been in a major trend, and now we've been in maybe a 6-month consolidation, right? Any break over kind of this 32 level in the XHB really is a powerful pattern in terms of pushing up some of these housing stocks. So any type of rest, and we might get an early entry in some of the ones that we like to trade, like Pulte or DHI or some of these other guys, HOV. So keep an eye on this one. Let's take a look. Gold up about 3% for the week, but not necessarily anything in the pattern, right? We're just kind of range bound the last few months, and I think that we still, the easy money is not there in gold yet, right? We're just kind of, when it gets oversold, it tends to pop, and when it gets overbought, it kind of tends to fade as it's kind of healing itself. Silver, same chart as gold, right? Overall, big downtrend, short term, right? We already kind of had the pop the last couple weeks, and so it just needs to really refill and heal still. I think it's the action in gold and silver is going to be choppy. You're going to see one week where it's flying, another week where it's dumping for a while until it shakes itself out. Let's take a look. Dun, 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 dun. USO, right? So looks like oil's kind of broke under its 200-day moving average after all this kind of Middle East nonsense was over with. We've had a fairly big dump over the last few weeks. So I don't really see anything in the longer term picture of oil, except that this is also really just a range bound chart that it does move short term on kind of some overbought, oversold type of conditions, but otherwise it's just in a range and tends to move on kind of geopolitical news, nothing really else. FXI, we had been flagging and then we broke down here. You see that? We broke down here with volume. This is probably a sector that you got to watch very carefully. China stocks have been very, very hot the last so many months, right? The Sina, Sohu's, Baidu's, all of these things. But with the news and, NQ, you see a stock cut right in 2/3. You got to kind of stay away from this sector or trade it just on a very short-term basis. As you'll see, right, a lot of these stocks got hit the last few days, and that's going to make it a dangerous play. If this NQ keeps dropping and it doesn't come out flying, then that'll bring back a big heavy weight in the China stocks. Remember a few years ago, all these stocks were considered frauds, and pretty much everyone was getting chopped off one by one for being these weird reverse merger type plays. And now that risk is back on, you never know really which one is going to get hit, right? There's all sorts of these burritos that really went on these huge runs this year, and so which one is next, right? Somebody could, any one of these high flyers, anybody can now spread a rumor saying, hey, S-Fun is a fraud like NQ, right? And right off the bat, this stock's going to drop 20% in a hot second just by anybody. I mean, I right now could post a blog about it, and if somebody picks it up, right, then that's how it's all snowballs. So probably stay away from these bad boys unless you are just an expert trader or know how to trade on very short time frames. You will get, because of the volatility in these, you will get some nice, right, like 15, 20, 30-minute trades, but you won't see, I would be very careful or wary of having any multi-day holds. Solar down about 5% for the week, right? I mean, we were really, really extended. Coming back and testing the 20-day moving average, which we really haven't broken the last couple months. We'll see, right? If the market's flying, that might be a bounce spot. Ideally, this has been up so much, you'd like to see a little bit heavier pullback to kind of reset some of these solar charts. Right now, they're all just so extended that the intradays are becoming very choppy to play because those spikes people are selling off, but those dips people are buying. So it's like, by the time you try to short, it's too late, and vice versa. A little bit bigger pullback in this, I think, would be really helpful, as this has been one of the leading sectors, and some of the best day trading of the last few months has been in this sector. Some of my favorite day trading has been in this sector, both long and short. So we always keep an eye on the solar stocks, but in terms of the long side, ideally, right, a few more days of some dumping could really, really help reset some of these charts. Especially, if you see like an FSLR or an SCTY kind of hang tough, then, we might have some plays in it. So that's it for now. There's not much going on in the market except we're extended. I mean, I flipped through over 1,000 charts, and boy, did I feel like I wasted part of my Sunday fun day, because I found really not even enough to do a blog on, let alone anything else. Just a handful of things. So in the meantime, it is earnings season, so we'll kind of keep playing those, and you'll see, right, the stocks with momentum and stuff like that of the last few days, those will be kind of, the plays that, you still want to watch, as they'll be moving, in absence of market, like the DAC and Trex and, so on and so forth. But otherwise, I really didn't see much going on in terms of the market. There's some of this stuff is just junk that I was coming up with. So, for the most part, the only ones that for the long side that I'll probably be really focused on are like Trex and DAC and BCOV, and then I'll be looking at really any of the new earnings plays, that come out, or the earnings, misses, and we'll go from there. So that's it for now, guys. I'll see you all tomorrow. Take care.